In terms of the first parts, it's how to use maths exam papers to get a grade 9 in GCSE maths properly. And this is very, very important because everyone has access to GCSE maths exam papers, everyone has access to past papers, everyone has access to predicted papers, everyone has access to the whole things. But at the end of the day, what differentiates someone that gets a grade 9 and someone that gets a grade 5, or someone that gets a grade 4 and someone that gets a grade 8, and so on and so forth, is the fact that how you use these exam papers. And in this video, we'll look at how to use these maths exam papers to get a grade 9 in GCSE maths. I'll make sure that I'll provide what I know to the best of my knowledge, what I have learnt over the years from doing maths exam papers myself to get a grade 9 in GCSE maths, but at the same time tutoring students like yourself to get a grade 9 in GCSE maths, and checked which works for which students, trying different varieties, learning what is important, and I've now gathered all the information into just a literal video for you guys to literally get this advice and act upon it quickly. So I urge you guys to listen carefully, make notes and watch this video, and listen and learn as quickly as possible and take action as fast as possible as well. So in terms of the first thing, is the fact that you should do the exam paper first, and this is a step that I urge a lot of you guys to properly do, because I'll give my students a exam paper to do and they struggle to do it and they do not even do the exam paper. And something that is very important, exam papers are done on purpose. At the end of the day, you're going to have your exams. They are done to differentiate you between the other students. It is not as if you get 100% in your maths exam papers that you're going to be guaranteed a grade 9. It's not that. It's not like that. Exam papers may be too difficult. So it could be that 50% means that you get a grade 9. At the end of the day, it's you versus the rest of the students. There are going to be some anomalies. There's going to be someone that does get 100%. There's going to be someone that gets 0%, as you can assume in a lot of graphs. As you guys can tell, when you're looking at a subset of data, there are going to be anomalies. So no one's going to really get higher than anyone else. At the end of the day, it's that literal middle chunk that we're looking at, where the most important thing is realized upon that middle parts, where if you have a few anomalies on either side, if you guys can picture what I'm saying in the graph, if you have two anomalies on the right hand side and the left hand side of the spectrum, in the middle is where most of the students are. So if you're at the top of that spectrum in the middle, that's where you guys are able to get a grade 9. That's where it matters. At the end of the day, it's averages, it's percentages, it's brackets that are put in place to differentiate students to get a grade 9. So doing the exam paper first is very, very important, because I see a lot of students, if I have 10 students, I give everyone the same exam paper. I also can see which is a grade 9. I can make my own marking scheme, own boundaries, own grade boundaries. There's a lot of things to be taken into consideration. As you guys can learn from maths, you can learn from upper boundaries, lower bounds, upper bounds, etc. You know what the real spectrum is. If you know what I'm talking about, it applies in every statistics, especially applies in this world, and it's one of the most important topics, and that's something that can be expressed in GCSE maths as well. But doing the exam paper first is important, because that's what determines you guys. So if I have 10 students, I give everyone the exam paper. If you do not do the exam paper, if you do not answer the question, then how am I meant to know if you're going to be able to answer it? And secondly, how are you going to be able to differentiate yourself from the others? And at the end of the day, you're putting yourself at blame. You cannot blame others. You can't say the exam paper was hard. At least you have to try. And this is a very important part. It's even if you're stuck on a question, you still have to do the questions. That is a very, very, very important thing. A lot of you guys do this mistake. Something that I gained in my mentality, if you guys want to check out the mentality video, I'll leave a link at the top of the screen. It's a very, very important video. It's how to have a secret mentality to get a grade 9 in GCSE maths. And that's basically the first step to differentiate you between the rest, and the rest all depends on your mentality. So do check out that video. That's something that I'll leave at the top of the screen, or you can check it in the description, or you can just go and check my channel. I think it's the first video on my channel. It's a very important thing. Even if you're stuck on a question, you still have to do the questions. That's what differentiated me from the other students. Even if the question was difficult, even if it was like a question that wasn't even for GCSEs, I'll still try to do something. It may look like a complete mess, it might look like like as if this man has done literally nothing. You just put a little bit of calculations there, here and there, but at least I tried. That's important. Do try it. When it comes to maths, it's basically yes or no. It's not as English where you can write something and hope for the best. This is yes or no, but at the same time, that's something that is underestimated. You can get marks for your working out. That is important. I've seen a lot of videos, I've seen a lot of teachers explaining that this is just a yes or no thing. You either get the right answer, you do not get the answer, but that's not really true. I've got many marks in the past where I just put random calculations here and there, but the teacher spots it and gives me a mark. That's important. It's a working out. It's how you express it. At the end of the day, these exam papers are designed, when you do your GCSEs, they're designed to see how you guys work it out, how you guys use your brains, how you guys analyze and answer a topic. Because there's a major shift from the grade A star to F system to the 9-1 system, and the main difference is the word application, and it's how you apply your knowledge. That's all that matters. You may not get full marks in your exam, but as if you apply that knowledge, and if the teacher can work out, the person marking your exam can work out that you've actually tried and done something, that could help you massively in the long run. That is very, very important. I urge you guys to do this. It's a secret tip that a lot of students do not understand. You show you're working out. It doesn't matter. But do not spend at least 6 hours answering a question when your paper is only 1.5 hours. Do not do that mistake, or 2 hours. Do try it if you have time at the end of the day. I've seen a lot of students, I see this mistake a lot of the time. I see students just sitting doing nothing because they finish the questions. But if you look at the exam paper, there's so many questions that's missed out. Then what are you doing with that time? At least in that time, you could at least answer those questions, put some working out. You could get that 1 mark, or you could get that 2 marks, could get that 3 marks. And it's 1 or 2 marks that's the difference between a grade 9 and a grade 8, a grade 8 and a grade 7, grade 6 and a grade 5, so on and so forth. It's very, very important you listen to that, you take the action and act on it as quickly as possible. Because even if you're stuck on a question, you still do the questions, no matter what it takes. No matter what it takes, do the question. It might come out of nowhere. Sometimes when it comes to a question, this has happened to me in the past, and a lot of you guys do experience this. When you're doing a question, all of a sudden your mind goes, you can't do it. But save that at the end. Because after you go through the papers in the exam paper, so say you have 20 questions to do, say you couldn't do the 5th question, if you'd skip that and remind yourself, and if you, something that I do is I bend the paper so that I know at the top, so I know that I haven't done this question, or just write it at the top, at the back of my paper where it says number 5, I have to do that, or put it on somewhere on my paper so I know where to go back to the questions I haven't done. That's something that's important, because you go to question 1, go to question 2, go to question 3, question 5, question 5. You skip that, continue all the way to question 10, question 20, finish the paper. But in those 20 questions, your brain had been going through a lot of work. It literally went through the whole specification of the grade 9-1 system. So from there to there, the topics were all around your brain while you're working out questions. Somehow, the topic that you're doing for the question 5 should have maybe got somewhere, and then it comes and clicks at the right moment in time, and you can do the question. I've experienced this hundreds of times. My mind goes blank for a question, but I'd still do the question at the end of the day, because after I do all the papers, it somehow comes. If it still doesn't come, it doesn't matter. I still try to do something from what I know, hope for the best, but at least you could get that 1 mark, 2 marks. And that's always been the difference between the grade 9 and the grade 8, and that's what differentiates you, and that's the way you use exam papers. It's not only the exam papers that you do in the exam, practice exam papers as well. We talked about corporate maths. If you haven't checked out corporate maths, I do urge you to check how to use corporate maths after Seneca to get a grade 9 in GCSE maths. That's a video that I had done previously to this. I'll leave a link at the top of the screen. I do urge you to watch this video. It's a very important video using corporate maths, and that's the final part is something that relates to the math exam papers, so that's very, very important. So do check that video, guys, out. It will be in the description if you would like. It will be at the top of the screen, and you guys know the gist by now. It will be at the channel as well. So that's an important video. It's not only practice the actual exam, it's important to do it for practice papers as well. That's what differentiates you between you and the rest. Make sure you do a question. It's very, very important. Make sure you do a question and take action as quickly as possible. And then what you have to do is go to the answers and mark it. That's very important. Going to the questions, marking it. And the marking process is where the difference, that secret, after what I told you about answering a question, even if you're stuck, even if you do not know the question at all, Just put random things and try to think of something. There should be some idea in your brain. Use that. Don't be ashamed that, oh, the teacher's going to feel that you wrote some random stuff. Don't worry about that. Have that in your brain and just think. Something must pop out. Just note that, jot that somewhere. And there's many occasions where I just jot something at the top of this paper, just to, maybe that could be the thing, and I just jot it at the top of the paper, and the teacher's marking that part of the section. Because the teacher's job is to look at everything. We have to make the markers look at everything. They will look at everything. That's the whole purpose. So it doesn't matter where you write, if you jot something at the top of your paper, if you jot something at the bottom of your paper, just as a simple note for you, but leave it there. That's important. And you should go to the answers and mark it. That's a very important thing. But speaking of one thing, I think I haven't stated this points in this presentation, but something that I know that a lot of students do not do is when it comes to maths exam papers, is jotting things at certain moments in time and then they cross it out after. Only when you know that for a fact that is crossed out, cross it out. That crossed out could be, I've seen occasions where the teachers mark my crossed out work and they say that you could have got 3 marks here, and since you crossed it out, you can't do anything. So don't cross out work only when you think, and when you cross it out, don't like scribble across it. Put one line across it so the teachers know, they have that benefit of a doubt. That's an important word, benefit of a doubt. It could be crossed out or it could not be, but just put that line, just one line across each word that you think is wrong. Maybe that could be useful. You never know. So when it comes to the answers, this is the marking system, is the difference between getting a grade 5 and a grade 9, what differentiates the students, how you mark it. And this is the important part. Doing the exam paper doesn't really matter. For me, I enjoy doing exam papers. I just love testing myself. I love testing myself. But at the end of the day, is the marking that is very, very important. I think a lot of you guys like to do exam papers rather than revise. I think that's something that is very, very... Everyone likes to test themselves. That's why exam papers are there. So the important thing about exam papers is fun testing yourself and doing the exam paper, which I've heard a lot from my students. I felt it myself. Do you rather like exam papers, doing it, or learning for an exam paper? That's two different things. Do you like doing the exam papers itself, or do you like learning the exam papers? I want to hear that in the comment section below. It's something that way you can refresh your mind a little bit, do something and come back to the screen so that it'll keep you refreshed and focused in the lesson. So I'll give you that 1 second. Going to the answers and marking it is the thing that I was talking about. It's very, very important. And this is the marking process which we're going to look at. So in terms of marking, while you're marking and you get something wrong, mark it wrong so that you know. That's an important thing. I see a lot of students, I tell them to mark your own exam paper. They mark it as in they don't want to make themselves look bad and they don't mark anything right. It's something that I see common. The students don't want to make themselves look as if they're dumb, or if they feel bad about themselves, they don't feel sorry for themselves, so they don't put that as they got something wrong. So that's something that I see a lot of the time. But if you get something wrong, mark it as wrong. That is important. And the important part is, even though it's 1 mark that you miss, you still mark it wrong. Some students I see, they state that it's only 1 mark that I missed, so I didn't really take action of that. But what I tell you guys from the start, 1 mark is the difference between a grade 9 and a grade 8. You might think that this guy is going to extent, he's going to into it to a large extent, but I'm not messing about. I've seen many students that come to me and tell sir, I should have got that 1 mark, or I got a grade 9. So I should have got that 1 mark, I got a grade 4. It's a 1 mark that could come and haunt you at the end of the day. I've experienced it in the past. I've experienced it where 1 mark had prevented me from getting this, prevented me from getting that. So it's something that I tell you guys to listen. And when you get something wrong, that 1 mark could be different. When you mark it wrong, it's something that you know you made a mistake. And when it comes to marking your work, make sure you use a different color pen, or something that highlights it, or something that highlights that you got this wrong. That's important, because I urge you guys to do that. Making sure you get something wrong, you highlight it with another color pen, or you use another pen for marking. Your teachers use a green pen or a red pen to mark your work. Do something like that. Use a pink color pen or a purple color pen, or something which you can differentiate that is a mistake. Do that. Some people just mark it in black pen, and you write in black pen as well. Then which one's the marked stuff, which one's not the thing that is not marked. It's a long job. Just finding it, that's just waste time at the end of the day. So marking a different color pen. If you got a black pen, marking a blue pen is very simple. It's 2 different color pens, and it should be useful to differentiate the mistakes that you made, and something that shows that you have made a mistake. So after you finish your marking, you go back to the start of the page. And that's something that is important. So when you finish your exam paper, you go back to the start of the exam paper. That's something that I urge you guys to do. And then you understand why your answer was wrong after looking at the corrections. So you make corrections. This is important. So when you get a question wrong, you write down what the answer was. So say you're doing a corporate maths paper, you get this like straight line graphs wrong, and the explanation's there. Your answer is something different, so you wrote something as a completely different thing. What is shown in the mark scheme, you completely copy and paste that onto your paper. That's very important. A lot of you guys might not like to print your paper. A lot of you guys like to do it on your iPads. The technology has advanced to a large extent. So another easy way is just screenshot that screen and take a picture of it and put it on your paper. You can add it to your PDF, or you can do some editing and add it on if you want to go technology wise. But if you're doing on paper, just blatantly copy and paste what you got wrong. Doesn't matter. After you finish marking, you go back and make corrections properly. That's important. Making corrections, that's what is important. With another colour pen, making corrections and then understanding why your answer was wrong. That is something that is important. Understanding why your answer was wrong after looking at the corrections. What is different between your answer? What is different between the mark scheme? Why did you lose a mark? Why did they get full marks? That's important. Do you get the ones where there's like a work solution? That's more interesting to utilize. In corporate maths, most of them are work solutions. In the mark scheme, it does show a work solution as well, but the Edexo marking scheme is a little bit more rigid, a little bit more, it's difficult to see the working out because everything's typed up, but it should be, you can see the 3 steps that you should be able to compare what the 2 things are. And the Edexo marking scheme, it also says on the right hand side, like gives notes what's being done, so read everything carefully and write it down in a simple way. You don't have to spend 6 hours just copying the mark scheme. If you literally got the whole paper wrong, do you think that's the right thing to do? I don't think so. But if you want to spend the time, it could be a good thing to do at the same time as well. But understanding why your answer was wrong after looking at the corrections is important. Compare your work to the answers and make notes on why you got it wrong if you need to. So say you compare your work, you compare the answers. So you say you missed something here, you could write that, you should have moved the equal sign, you should have moved the x to the other side of the equal sign, or you should have substituted this instead of that. Understand what I'm saying? So you got to make the notes so you can see what you look at the mark scheme, look at your work, what did they do different, write that down. You don't have to copy and paste the mark scheme. If you don't want to, you can make notes as well, what you should have done. Because you could probably get everything right, and then it's just that one mark missed. So that's just a waste of time. Just copy and paste the mark scheme again. So you can just put an arrow, show that you made a mistake here, suggesting that you should have done this instead of that. Then that should be suitable. Because the marking scheme is something that is important, and the important thing about this is don't quickly compare, don't rush until you properly understand on how you got it wrong. A lot of students hate the marking process. Even I do hate the marking process as well. It's a long time, it's a lot of times. But people spend like 1 minute to just mark, but spend 1.5 hours on the paper. If you get everything right, that's suitable. But if you get most of them wrong, then what's the purpose of it? What's the purpose of you doing that exam paper? That is why I urge you to don't quickly compare, don't rush until you properly understand how you got it wrong. Take your time. That marking is the important thing. That is very, very important. Get the answers. If you got it wrong, write it down, make notes, listen carefully, watch it carefully, look at the videos, understand it. If you properly understand that, you have to properly understand why you got it wrong, and that's where the learning process takes place. If you can learn why something is wrong, then you would be able to get it right the next time. So that is an important step.